today we're here doing the urethane top coat. We've already installed the epoxy base coat. You cannot put urethane on bare concrete, it will not stick. We've already got a mix. This is a 2-to-1 mix, just like our epoxy. We put some non-skid additive, about 3/4 of, I think we send about a pint can. Use about 3/4 of that. And because it's heavy, it'll settle down to the bottom of the bucket. Let me show, yeah, you got it. It'll settle down to the bottom of the bucket. So periodically, you guys need to mix it up because it just won't look right. So anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and start. Taylor, if you want to help me, go ahead and pour.
Explain the reason why is because the solids of the non-skid falls to the bottom.
Yeah. Perfect. Is there anything else that you want to say about the mix before I start?
Mixing is the thing about urethane that's different than epoxies is that when you mix it, you can literally leave it in the bucket like this for a long period of time. You cannot do that with epoxies; it will start cooking on you. So urethanes, you have a whole lot more time to work or leave in the bucket. However, you do not have a lot of time to work on the floor. Ashli will show you, you're going to have to get the material down and be done with it. If you overwork the material, it will absolutely leave color change. You also cannot do the floor and put it too thin. You have to stay within the spread rate, which is what, Ash?
So the spread rate is 350 to 450. We put ours down at about 350. I know one of our customers put it down about 600 square foot and it was super thin and it showed every single non-skid additive just because it was too thin. So let's show you guys how to get it done.
What are you rolling for?
And you want to make sure that your rollers are always wet. Go ahead and pour, just pour a line right here, Taylor. If you're rolling and your roller is making a lot of noise, that means it's very dry and you don't have enough material on your roller. So right now I'm just going to get my roller wet. Extremely wet, and this first time, of course, your roller is going to soak up a ton of material. So I'm gonna, and it's okay. So a urethane is a lot more watery than epoxy. That's why we're putting it extremely thin. You know, 350 square foot to the gallon versus 250 square foot to the gallon.
Do you have to put the urethane, or can you just do epoxy?
You can just do 2 standard coats of 100% solids epoxy. We like to do the urethane on top. It's the same chemical resistance as our epoxy. But what did you say earlier? You made a good point earlier about the urethane.
Well, the urethane, what it does is it's flexible. Epoxies are rigid.
Rigid, that's right.
Urethanes are flexible, so it does not scratch quite as bad as an epoxy would, and that's kind of what you put it on for. It does have a nice gloss to it. And you can see the color. The colors match quite well. This is a light gray base epoxy with the light gray urethane.
So I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
really
you're
quick.
fine. Go ahead.
I'm using my roller kind of as a squeegee. We used to use buckets and dip in buckets, but we found that wasn't very effective. So typically when you're doing urethane really quick, when you're doing urethane, you want one person to spread it out and have one person specifically in charge of that job spreading it out, and then they can go watch everybody else. So I just spread it out nice and even, and you want to do this fast. You don't want to overwork urethane because it'll leave lines, big time lines. All right, so I've got it spread out pretty decent, and I'm trying to move fast here because of course you want to get it spread out fast. All right, so it's just like epoxy. You want to roll it a few times, at least 3 times, but you don't want to use any pressure on your roller. It's super thin, it'll leave big puddles, and you want to just nicely spread it out nice and even, and you don't want to go too far past where you've already kind of squeegeed, I'd say. Just roll it out nice and even, and you can roll it like epoxy, that's fine, you just don't want to overwork it.
You can see the nice gloss that it leaves. It is a very glossy floor.
I'm not putting any pressure at all.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and pour another puddle, get the next deal, and then we need to get the finish rolling going.
All right. So this is, and you can see how nice and even. See? I'm not putting any pressure.
You don't hear her roller either. Notice how much material is in her roller. That is huge. If your roller is making noises, it's pulling material. It's not leaving material. So you need to make sure. And one of the things that you can do that's very important is when you hear the roller start getting dry, then you need to make sure all your guys, as she just spread it right here. Now, if you're doing a crew of guys, you have all of your guys roll their rollers into this wet material, making sure all of their rollers are good and wet. Then they all roll together, and then one person will finish roll.
So Taylor just poured me a puddle, and he poured the puddle right on top of where I had already spread out my other material.
Which is different for your thing.
So,
We'll teach you.
I remember.
no, that's perfectly fine.
Oh.
It's fine. I'm just showing.
No,
Okay, so you want to overlap about an inch, just like you do when you're rolling. You don't want to put any pressure on your roller. Nice and even. Once you get to the end over here, you want to pick up immediately, or it's going to leave a puddle. You're not moving material. You're just finishing it out.
This is the top coat. All right. Well, we're doing this for an installer out of Louisiana. That's one of our installers, but we're going to put it on Facebook where everybody can see and learn. But this is our top coat of urethane. It goes over the top of epoxy. You cannot put urethane on bare concrete. You have to put it down on epoxy. It will peel. So it is a great topping that you can put down. It is resistant to all sky draws, everything that comes out of an airplane, it comes out of a car. It is a beautiful floor. It is a little bit more difficult to work with than just our standard epoxies because you got to really learn the touch. But with this video with Ashley teaching you, you can see how gorgeous that is. So you got anything you want to finish with, Ash?
Just make sure that you're constantly mixing up the bucket. I'm sorry, I'm sweating so bad here. Make sure you're constantly mixing up the bucket that has a non-skid additive in it, because again, it'll sink to the bottom, and at the end of the bucket, at the end of the pour, you're going to pour out a whole huge chunk of a non-skid additive because you guys hadn't mixed it.
Correct.
So just periodically, you know, every 4 to 5 minutes, if it's sitting in the bucket, you want to make sure that you're whipping it around. I don't have anything else. I think it looks great.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.